take a look at the intraday chart for SPY. We had a pretty big down move right there. Even got below VWAP. You know, we were strong going up towards the high right there at around 10:30. At 10 o'clock, we break the top of the range. At 9:45, we break the top of the range. When we break the top of the range at 9:45, we hold above VWAP. We break the top of the range a little bit before 9:45. We get some good volume that comes into SPY. If we look at our volume down there, if we take a look at, so when we're trying to determine whether or not the market is strong or weak, overall, some of the things that will, so right there, you know, if I'm thinking about buying the SPYs when we get above right around 9:45, what are some of the things I'm going to look at to determine whether or not I think the market is going to be strong today, or if we're going to have a trend day? What are some of the things I'm going to look at? Okay, so I might take a look at Qs overall and see. So let's type up QQQ. So we want to see, hey, tech has been stronger than everything else. Is tech strong as well today? And you can see tech right around that time is getting ready to bust out a little bit later, but it's getting ready to bust above the high. So you know, a little bit later we get a little confirmation. What else do we want to look at? Okay, good. So you want to take a look at VIX, the VIX futures, so VIX. And so, Bastian, what do we want to see with VIX if we think the market's going to be strong?
Some weakness.
Yep, you want to see volatility coming in. Okay, I don't think that's not one. That wouldn't be the first thing I would necessarily look at, but it would be one of the top, you know, 5 or 6 things to take a look at. What else do you want to look at?
You want to look at how volume changes with its different price moves?
Definitely want to look at volume. So, you know, for SPY, you want to see volume come in to the marketplace right there. You want to take a look to see if increasing volume comes in. If you're trading, you know, you might look at R-vol as well, relative volume. So that's something that's important. So was there more volume that's coming in early in the day than we had expected? R-vol is a very powerful thing. But another thing I look at is tick. So dollar sign. And so, and this is something that I'm going to really watch as well. So let's see how we're doing today. So at around 9:45, I want to see that the ticks are showing me that the market is strong overall. So when I take a look at these ticks, I'm mainly seeing the tick above 0, which is good for us. But when I see something break out, I want to see a really positive tick. A really positive tick, just in terms of talking about extremes, would be 800. You know, so if I had seen 800, that would really get my attention. And then there's a scale as to how much we can take out of tick. So 800 would be like really great. 500 would be like, show me tick again. So, you know, on a day where let's just focus on today. So on a day where, you know, tick has not really ticked much above, so at 9:45, tick hasn't ticked much above 300. If I had gotten a 500 tick, and that would be, you know, interesting, right? That would be pretty good as well. You know, but I want to use this to sort of see if I'm getting anything. Another thing I'm going to look and at 9:45, do we really get anything from the tick? Not really. Not really. makes me think, man, it's a piece of evidence. It's like, maybe we're not going to have a trend day today. Maybe this is just sort of a short outburst. But for a trend day, we should get like plus 800. You'll see that. On really weak days, on really strong days, you'll get tick that's more pronounced. So as you can see right now, we're getting some pretty tough ticks. So we didn't get that. So that's interesting. I might also look at some of the high beta names. So I want to go to something else. Another thing I want to look at is ADD. So I want to look at the advanced decline line, and I want to watch that.
This one has a dollar sign?
Yeah. So I want to look to see how that's trending. So let's take a look at 945-ish. So it's getting better. So that's interesting.
That just kind of show the internals.
Yep. Exactly, 100%. So how many stocks are up relative to how much they're down. So that's something I look for. And for me, I want to see that if I think something's going to be a trend day, I want to see that steadily improving throughout the day. And so that's something to watch. I'm always watching tick and ADD throughout the day. I do actually always watch volatility as well. And then I'll also look at some high beta names. So for me, on a day like today, I'm going to look at Apple, and I want to take a look at that. For me, on a day like today, I'm watching Baba. For me, on a day like today, I'm watching Tesla, and I'm looking for information for any of those. You can see Tesla gave us a little bit of information before the market really came in, right? So SPY and Q come in when? Well, when they reverse, when do they reverse?
10:30.
So let's see. You can bring it up again. They will come in at the same time, right? Around 10:30. SPY, 10:30 has that down move. All right, so we're up a lot, and we had that move. We had a pretty big down move there in SPY and Qs, and I did short a little bit. I set a stop. I did short 275.09. I shorted, and I set my stop. I just gave it 50 cents, and wanted to see if we'll pull in a little bit. So let's watch out. Let's see how weak we are. Let's take a look at tick now. I would imagine tick is getting pretty tough. So see the ticks they got all the way to negative 800, right? So it's a very powerful signal that you guys can look at. And you can learn to use it. So, one of the things is positive 800 or negative 800 gets me a lot of information. One of the things that gives me information is the ticks are always positive, and then they finally turn negative. One of the things that gives me information on tick is they can't really tick above a certain range, and then they do. So you'll learn to use it as an indicator for market plays. We don't trade market plays often. We think of market plays for when we're oversold or overbought. I think a lot of people in this market think we're overbought. Not that we can't go higher, just that for right now, maybe the most logical move is to pull in a little bit. That was probably a working thesis on the desk. And then we'll anyway. So that's something that we'll take a look at. But we'll trade it when volatility is elevated. So one thing that we'll talk a lot about here is if volatility is above 15. You might look at market plays. If volatility is below 15, probably want to stay away from market plays. When I say market plays, I mean trading SPY, trading Q, trading VIX. So when we trade market plays, probably the products that we trade the most would be SPY, Qs, IWM, VXX, UVXY. VXX and UVXY are products for volatility that guys will trade. So, you know, instead of getting short SPY, I could have done what with volatility? I could have gone long VXX or UVXY, so type of VXX. Or I could have done both. And so you can see volatility has gone up, not too much, like 40 cents or so. It's gone from the bottom, it's gone up about it's gone up 60 cents. I don't know if we're about the bottom, but maybe that's pulling. So probably would have bought like 75 cents. So probably up. So you could have done that. You could have shorted SPYs, you could have shorted Qs, you could have bought VXX. Take a look at UVXY as another one to express volatility. You could have got long UVXY. You can short the high betas, so you can take a look at Apple, take a look at Facebook, you can take a look at Netflix, Tesla, play around with those as well on the short side. So, you know, that was an interesting setup today. So let's take a look at Starbucks. This is something that I traded. Well, you guys are trading this CODX. What are you guys trading?
I traded a little CRM today.
What else?
Chipotle.
What else?
We'll see. No, I did Starbucks and Twitter.
All right, let's take a look at Starbucks then. I thought this was interesting. So I think this is kind of Starbucks. How would you describe the open? So what's the news catalyst for Starbucks?
CEO.
Stepping down. Was it unexpected?
Not really.
Okay. In what way? Was it expected in?
Well, I don't know. We saw the
timing. Was it? You know, so there's things that can be unexpected. It could be unexpected that he actually stepped down. It could be unexpected that he stepped down now.
I think it was unexpected to the public that he's stepping down, but you back up a day or two, they canceled it. It's kind of sold off. I don't know. Maybe someone knew about it. Seemed like he'd been around a while.
Let's take a look at the 5 day. So, all right, so it doesn't really, not really off very much. So let's take a look at the intraday chart. So you have the CEO, a good CEO, is stepping down, maybe going to run for president. And on the open, what happens?
Pops up with some buying and kind of gets rejected at the free market.
How would you describe that move on the open for Starbucks?
The very an opening drive downside.
Yeah. That's a pretty steep, high volume, very weak, lots of selling, probably from institutions move to the downside. That's with the market doing what? So take a look at SPY. And take a look at Q. So, relatively weaker than the market. So let's go back to Starbucks. So, when you see an opening drive like that, strong or weak, and it's on high volume, that can indicate to you what?
This is a really weak stock.
Could. Doesn't have to be. I'm just saying this is a piece of information. And so you certainly want to look at your long-term technicals. You certainly want to think about, is there a news catalyst? You certainly want to take a look at your intraday charts. And so, that really caught my attention. It popped back up to VWAP, and I started nibbling on the shorts. And then it pulls right into VWAP, and then what does it do? So I got short when it popped back up to VWAP. I really did actually have a thesis to short this on the open. I didn't get around to it. So I missed that down move. And then I sort of set a stop. I actually put offers up, and I put offers up at 74, 84, 89, all the way into the whole number, and actually got up and did something else. But I just sort of wanted to get in on price, and I came back to my seat, and I had gotten into a little bit. And then it was holding below VWAP, right? And as it's holding below VWAP, from 950 to 1010, what does it do?
Slight sell-off into support.
And then go take a look at SPY and Qs during from 950 to
Trending upward.
market's going up. And what's Starbucks doing? It's going down. So independently weaker than the marketplace. Felt good about that position. And a buyer just came in out of nowhere. I mean, just a completely different buyer came in. One of the things about our marketplace that gets a little bit difficult is that there are quantitative funds that have a lot of money, and they can just step in for reasons that have nothing to do with the way that we trade. They just have they just have different ways to measure when they're going to buy and when they're going to sell. And up until 1010, it was a really good short. And it's entirely possible that a market participant came in and was just a quantitative asset management fund and said, it's down 2%, the market's strong. Our models say it should be down 1% or flat, or it can even go positive on the day. And we're going to buy on the bid and until this goes up to where we think it ought to go to. And that could have happened. So I got stopped out of some at 81 cents, and I hit it again, and I have a stop above. I hit it again, and I covered actually when the market went down and it didn't go down. So I hit it again, and then I ended up covering a lot at like 76 cents because the market was really weak, and it should have been below 70 cents at a minimum, and it wasn't. And so I took off a bunch. I have a little bit left. I'll cover the rest of about 56, and it looks like I'm going to end up covering that. It looks like they're going to take me out there. But I did a good job of making a trade decision. I was pretty short. I was short 3 tiers there from the top. I watched it turn, and I just hit the crap out of it, and came in. I ended up taking up most of it at 76 cents. And so I covered like 81, 80, 78, 76. Like I just keep covering. If it would have got below 75 cents and 70 cents, I would have felt better about the position. So that happens sometimes. Really good shape. I mean, that chart pattern from 930 to 1010 is a really good looking chart pattern. It's a chart pattern that's probably going to end up low of day. Not probably, but that is a candidate for ending up low of day. You've got a news catalyst, opening drive to the downside, never trades above VWAP, fails from VWAP, steadily going back towards the low when the market is going up. That's a good position to be in, long and short. The mirror image of that, I want to be long. This position, I really am, I'm good being short. And then I think just somebody came in and bought it. So we'll watch that. I think this CODX, people are trading as well. Yeah, I mean, it was it looked great on the chart, went to the lows to about 53 cents. And then there was just this bid that came in that went from 53 cents all the way up to 90 cents. Like this really big bid that kept stepping up. It was weird. It was like, then he dropped, went back down toward the lows. And they just get people trapped on the short side. And you have to be careful that when you're watching a stock like that pull in and you're seeing people absorb that on the bid, one of the patterns that you have to recognize is that they're just, you know, they're setting you up. It's still positive for the day, right? So it's just a pull-in trade. And when it gets below VWAP, there's a lot of people that are shorting that. And when it's making new lows, there are people really pressing the shorts because this thing came from like $2 and probably should be $2. But it doesn't have to be now. You know, in 3 months, when we look at this thing, we probably want to remember this name. In 3 months, it probably will be $2. But it isn't now. And it could be $12 before it's $2. So you have to be, when you're trading that, I would short that, and you know, good best practice is to take profits. Develop a way to trade so that you're shorting, let's just say I think this is going to go to $5 today, or let's say I think it's going to go to $4.75 today. You want to make a habit of taking those profits into the lows there, into that 53 cents. Like you want to start developing rules and systems where you're taking some off there, and then when it pops back up towards that 90 cents, you're putting some back on, and then you're taking some off into the 70s, and you're taking some back off, and you're putting some back on around your thesis of, I think this should go lower. That is something that we see with the better traders. They're not just shorting and saying, I'm short. Most of them, most of the better traders, not all, but most of the better traders will put it on and take it off into the weakness. And they'll short it into the strength, and they'll take it off into the weakness. And so, you know, there's some, we're still pretty short this. I do sort of think that for me, I've finagled my way in and out of this. I'm going to cover half above 26, and I'm going to cover the rest above 50 cents. I have a sense I'm going to get stopped out. But again, I covered some into that. I did cover some into that down move. I'll put bids in. So I'm going to short it 19 cents again, I think. And I'm going to take that off into, I'm going to go 81, 76, 78, take a little bit off. And not just be holding this thing and not making profits from thesis to price. You want to make money with the path of the trade, and not just on the position. Does that make sense? You have to develop rules for that.